everyone has opinions, don't get me wrong. I know everyone in that villa is very opinionated, but I just don't understand why Tyrique always feels like his opinion needs to be heard. I don't get it. One second, guys. I just need to, you know, do my bit for society and quickly cast my vote. And perfect. So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing okay and everybody is doing well. Another day, another Love Island review, and our final reviews, not our final review, sorry, our final week of reviews at that. I hope everyone is doing okay. A lot for us to unpick and unpack. I was very surprised to see the twists and turns that came with that game, because I definitely wasn't expecting that, and I'm sure you weren't expecting that too. But a lot for us to speak about. So as I usually and always say, number one, if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and definitely join the family. Also be sure to follow me on my Instagram and also on my Twitter. You guys know, particularly on my Instagram, because the channel hits 7K very soon. And what I usually say, yeah, get cozy and comfy with a lovely drink. I'm going to say a warm drink today because my stomach has actually hurt me. So yeah, get cozy and comfy with a nice drink, and let's get into today's review. So let us start off with the aftermath of the talent show. So Abby was talking to Molly about Abby was talking to Molly about not giving her balloon heart to Scott. You guys know Abby came just how she's been acting, aka a clown. But she said that she would have given it to him, but she honestly feels like a lemon waiting for him. And I don't really have much to say other than the fact that I think the whole scenario was even funnier because she still had the clown makeup on. But you guys already know, I've been over Abby. I've been telling you guys this for a while. I've been over the entire situation with Mitch, with Scott, with Ella. I'm over it, okay? I'm just so over it. It's almost given like Abby and Mitch have a love-hate relationship with one another, and they just need to couple up and just be on their way. Or Scott just needs to be honest with her and tell her that she's not he's not interested in her, because the beg is too much. Guys, I cringe. I actually cringe. Well, we'll get into more of that later, because you know they also end up having more of a conversation. Now let's move on to Mitch talking to the guys about his roast. He was like, oh, he knows he stepped on a couple toes. Which toes? Okay, because Mitch's roast was so dry. You know when some people be posting their roast dinner and the gravy, the turkey, whatever it is, nothing is seasoned, everything is dry, stale. That's what Mitch's roast was, because that roast didn't give a thing. As our good sis Whitney said, it's the crickets. Okay. Of course, Abby was now talking to Scott about Mitch's roast and saying that, you know, she actually agreed with some of the things that Mitch said, especially when Mitch was like, oh, no one knows what's happening. Of course, she tried to laugh it off, and once again, that clown uniform or situ actually just didn't even help. But yeah, I don't really have much to say other than the fact that Scott also agreed with her as well, saying, oh yeah, it's true, like I don't even know what's happening too. And she was like, yeah. Gosh. But yeah, like I said, the truth of the matter is Scott did also say that she shouldn't take anything that Mitch says seriously. And yeah, even Abby was just like, yeah, like we're good, Ella and him are good, you know, I'm just very much over it. There were no lies told in Mitch's roast, even though it was very dry, and no one knows what's happening with Abby and Scott. That's the honest truth. Now let's move on to Scott now talking to Whitney and Abby. Whitney, of course, was telling him to spill the tea. You guys know I definitely think that Whitney and Scott definitely have like a cute little friendship in the villa, and like I always say, I am definitely always going to miss the whole Whitney, Catherine and Scott trio, because they were really the trio of the season. They really were. But of course, Whitney was like, spill the tea, and he was like, oh, you know, I do fancy her. And Whitney was like, well, I fancy Tupac, babe, okay? So I won't lie in saying that I do think there is a difference between fancying someone and actually liking someone. And I think maybe even if he did fancy her in the past, he definitely doesn't like her, so he does need to just be very honest with his feelings. But Scott was also saying that Abby's mom did say it's not a bad thing that I'm a slow burner. Remember, Abby's mom liked Scott. Remember, she bit her lip. Okay. But he did say that there is a spark there. And at the same time, Abby was talking to Ella and was just pretty much saying, you know, you need to trust your gut feelings. If he's not showing you certain actions, you need to know what you need to do. Don't wait around for him to, you know, play around with the ball. It's in your court, etc, etc. And the truth of the matter is, like I did already say, they just need to wrap it up. I know the season does end in a couple of days, but I think Abby, for her, she's probably just gutted that, you know, she entered Love Island and she wasn't able to find love, and Scott just wants to go home. Okay, Scott actually wants to go home. Now let's move on to Whitney and Lochan on the terrace. Okay, he told her to sit there as pretty as you are and just listen. I love that, because honestly, as a girl, you really shouldn't be doing too much other than just sitting pretty and bringing your lip gloss when you go out. Anyway, so yeah, anyway, I don't know why that, anyway, whatever. But Lochan, of course, mentioned that, you know, he wanted them to be exclusive. And I think the truth of the matter is, because even in his speech as well to her, he was saying that, you know, like, meeting my parents really put things into perspective, etc, etc. And I think he was probably just getting the go ahead, and also just like the sign off from his parents as well. It is very important that your parent obviously likes the person that you are with. So I think he wanted the validation from his parents, and I don't think that's actually a bad thing. But I'm just happy that Whitney's happy. And I did already tweet this, guys. Whitney has come a very long way, okay? She's come a long way. You need to remember that sis was once with Mehdi, aka the guy that literally hated her for having an opinion and for being herself. So many people are posting their think pieces that they don't think Lochan is genuine, etc, etc. At this point, I'm just happy that Whitney is happy, and I think we should just bask in that happiness for her, because clearly she makes Lochan happy, and Lochan also makes her happy as well. Now let's move on to the night time. Not much to discuss other than the fact that, of course, she told the girls that they were exclusive, and Lochan also told the guys as well. Very happy that everyone was also happy for her. And the only other thing that I wanted to note down was Abby was literally begging Scott for spooning in bed. Guys, she actually needs to go. I know the season literally ends in a couple of days. Yeah, I feel it. Okay, because there's no way on God's green, beautiful earth that I'm ever begging a guy for a spoon or a hug or a cuddle. I ain't doing that, okay? If it doesn't come naturally to you, I'm gonna exit stage left. And I honestly think Abby needs to do the same as well. So let's move on to the following morning. Not much to discuss other than the fact that there were actually no morning chats. Instead, we saw Mitch putting sunscreen on Ella B's back. The only thing I noted down was the fact that sis has a body. And you guys know, I actually really like Ella B. I think she's really sweet. I saw her in a talent show. She's really talented. And I do feel like she's been a great addition and blend into the villa. Now, of course, move on to Scott talking to Abby, saying that he's tired of people with their 2 pence. And one thing that I did note down, and I also tweet this as well, was that one thing that I don't like about Abby is whenever she's trying to speak about what's going on with her and Scott, or they're having a conversation about their situation or anything like that, she's just like, yeah, because Ella B told me this and Whitney said this and dun, dun, dun. But she mentioned the fact that Ella B even asked me, like, is he playing a game? Like, and I was just like, I just don't know. I just don't know where my head is at. And of course, Scott was just like, yeah, everyone got their 2 pence. But that's my thing, like, just say what you want to say without trying to drag other people into it. She's done it before with Whitney. She's done it before with Tyrique. I mean, it's just second nature to her at this point. But yeah, the truth of the matter is Scott is maybe a slow burner, but he also doesn't like her. And that's that. Now let's move on to Ella B, Mitch and Whitney talking about the lack of connection, which is probably drawing Abby more to Scott, which is very interesting. If a guy's not showing me any affection or anything, I'm not drawn to you. I'm going away. Okay, I don't understand that one. But of course, Ella B was saying that, you know, his mum did say that he isn't a touchy-feely person. What's that? Sorry, I thought I heard something. But yeah, of course, Ella B was saying that, you know, Scott said his mum isn't a touchy-feeling person. And the truth of the matter is, even Mitch said it, and I'm very happy that Mitch kind of wrapped it up, but Mitch was just like, oh, like, I'm just kind of over the entire storyline and love story with Abby and also with Scott. And I definitely hear it. I feel like everyone should just focus on their focus. I think one thing that I haven't liked, if I'm going to be honest with you, this season, is whenever Scott is with someone, even if he doesn't like them, aka Abby, everyone seems to just always feel the need to share their opinions on it. It's really strange. They've done it with Catherine as well. Everyone just giving their opinion. I mean, everyone should really just focus on their focus, because like I said, finals is in literally a couple days, and yeah, everyone should just focus on their focus, because yeah. Okay, now let's move on to the text. So they ended up getting a text that there was going to be an award ceremony, aka the Grafties, and apparently, well, allegedly, the votes were actually chosen by the public on Sunday. But one thing about Love Island is, like, I feel like they just need to be a bit more serious when it comes to the voting, because not everyone is following you on all platforms. So yeah, apparently it was a voting system that took place on Sunday on their Instagram, but I don't follow their Instagram. And if you voted, let me know, but I actually completely missed this altogether. The Grafties 2023 is here, and let us start off with some interesting awards, because guys, I was not expecting it. I genuinely didn't feel like the producers still had it in them to give us a bit of mess. But they did, and they delivered, so let's get into it. So let's start off with the flirtiest performance. The winner, of course, ended up being Ella B. They showed the clip with, you know, Ella B and Tyrique talking, and he was just like, oh, Shane was our last kid, etc, etc. Whitney, of course, said that she saw how it came across flirty, and you can see that Tyrique was just really, like, all guns blazing. And I'm going to get into him later as well, because I ain't here for it. I'm not here for it at all, okay? I'm not here for it. he gives me misogynistic vibes. I'm just not even here for it, but I'm going to get into it shortly anyway. Of course, all the girls were saying that they agree why, of course, Ellaby could have seen that as being flirting. Of course, they also showed Scott's clip with him flirting with Abby, but yeah, Ellaby won that round, so that's just that. But you can tell in this round that Tyrique was really hyping up because he definitely had mouth for the wrong person later on, okay? He had mouth, but we'll get into that shortly. So, of course, the next nominee was for It's Given Plot Twist. They, of course, showed Jess speaking with Josh about Sammy, and maybe Sammy is, you know, maybe he's just the off person, which is why he's always in the bottom two, etc., etc. And she also mentioned, sorry, the fact that Josh was her type. One thing I didn't get about it was Sammy was like, oh, if the shoe was on the other foot. Sammy, you've been snaky, okay? You still are moving snaky. You're lucky your comments that you said about Jess haven't even made its way to the villa screens, and even to remind us again that you said very, very, very hurtful and nasty things about the girl that you made your girlfriend. So let's not start with, oh, if the shoe was on the other foot. You recoupled up with, first and foremost, you told Mal, this is what I mean. When they want to forget the receipts, I'm happy to pull it up. You told Mal that you had a better connection with her in 2 days than you had with Jess in 2 weeks. You recoupled up with Amber, the 19-year-old who didn't give a damn thing but smiles and laughs, I guess. For what reason? And then you said all these hurtful things about Jess. You're making fun of her, blah, 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 blah. They made her your girlfriend and you're talking to me about if the shoe was on the other foot. Okay, so let's move on to Mitchell. He was also part of this nomination, and it was about him speaking about the whole Abby and Ella situation when Kaden and Uzi pulled him up on his decision. This scene actually made me laugh because it just reminded me once again that Mitchell is actually crazy. Mitch is such an interesting character. I don't even know what else to say. That was when he was just like, oh yeah. I think Katie was just like, listen, what girl do you want in your bed? And he was just like, yeah, I think it's going to be Ella. After you already just told Abby you want to, like, you know? So Mitch was definitely messy. I'm not surprised that he was actually in the It's Given Plot Twist nomination. And of course, we also had Zach when he said that his gut hasn't been 100% with Molly. The boys then definitely tried to jump in like, oh yeah, Molly, since Zach's been with you, I've seen the growth. I've seen that he's been very happy and and Zach, of course, said, you know what, it's done now. We've spoken about this and this narrative is completely over. But we know, the winner ended up being Mitchell, who actually collected many awards in tonight's episode. So let's move on to the most snaky sitch. Started off with Abby and Mitch talking about Ellaby and how she doesn't think that they are genuine, and that of course Ellaby is the opposite of his type, and that her type is also Ty. Mitch was like, Abby, what's my type? And then she was like, blondes, and she was like, yeah, blondes, because you guys know Ellaby is blonde. I'm not sure she's a natural blonde because I think the roots are a bit black or brown, shall I say, but right now she is currently blonde. I just feel like Abby's just really sour. She's sour at the fact that things obviously haven't worked well with Scott. Love Island is ending in a couple of days, and her enemy seems to be very happy with her other enemy. Okay, now let's move on to Jess. Jess was also part of this nomination, and it was when she was saying that Zach was being flirty with Katie, and that Zach is the problem, because they were like, oh, because Katie's gone, the problem's gone. No, the problem hasn't gone, Zach is the problem. And last but not least, with Lochan, when he was speaking to Whitney about Scott, saying that Abby is giving him the ick, and Lochan said that she feels like she is trying to mark her territory with him, and yeah, pretty much that. Now this is when the nonsense started, if I'm going to be honest with you, because first and foremost, Lochan said, I said what I said, if you disagree, beat me. Okay, but this is when Tyrique just reminded me that he's actually just very unserious, and it's a shame because I feel like everyone has opinions, don't get me wrong. I know everyone in that villa is very opinionated, but I just don't understand why Tyrique always feels like his opinion needs to be heard. I don't get it. I don't get it, okay? I really don't get it. So of course Tyrique was like, Lochan pillow talks with these girls too much, but I didn't really understand, because when you're either talking to someone in a relationship, exclusive, whatever you want to call it, everyone knows you just to your partner, okay? It's natural. You just to your bestie. There always has to be a small gist over there. So you can't say, oh, you pillow talk too much. Yeah, you pillow talk with Ella too, and no one's called you up on it. So I didn't really understand that energy, if I'm going to be honest with you. Of course, you guys know that Tyrique now ended up telling Whitney to shush. And one day, in fact, let's make it today. Today, let's speak about the fact and the way Tyrique actually speaks to women. I already told you guys it's giving misogynistic. But the way Tyrique speaks to women is absolutely ridiculous. The way he speaks to Whitney is absolutely ridiculous. It's even opened doors for other people to think they can speak to Whitney, and I don't really understand why, because it's given loser energy. But yeah, I speak to my boyfriend, or not boyfriend, but I speak to the guy that I'm in a couple with, and my guy also speaks to me as well. So I didn't really understand whatsoever. I love the fact that Lochan said, I have your time today, because it's about time someone actually spoke up to Tyrique, okay? And it's low-key given Tyrique, because low-key's still been triggered at the fact that Lochan is definitely a public fave, because yeah, it's about time someone stood up to him, because the energy today was completely off. Lochan did say, why are you piping up as usual? Can't you speak to someone normally? And it's true. First and foremost, this isn't your situation, so why have you inserted yourself? A, and B, convo, see yourself out. Number two, don't not come with energy speaking to my girl saying shush or whatever, man. Your energy stinks. That's just the honest truth. Tyrique's energy was honestly smelling. Okay, it was smelling from the screen. And then let's get into the fact that Ella didn't even tear his singlet. And I didn't really understand that one. This is not the time for you to be looking like bread. This is not the time for you to sit there and be stationary. She was looking at him and she just looked at him. Ella, you need to speak up to that guy, okay? And it's very interesting and telling. You need to look out for flags as well, because I won't be surprised if Tyrique even speaks to her like that outside of the villa. Very disrespectful, very uncalled for. I expected more from Ella, considering she has, you know, pulled up on her friends / sisters in the villa and, you know, spoken up with her mind about that. So very interesting how she can sometimes have chat for other girls in the villa but not her man, which is quite disappointing. You guys know I do like Ella, but I just feel like even if she wanted to correct him privately, the fact that he was rude publicly, she should have also corrected him publicly there as well, that you don't talk to my friend like that. And that's that. But I'm glad that Lochan, of course, stood up for his girl and also stood up for what he said as well. Now let's move on to the WTF moment. So they showed Sammy being annoyed after venting with Mitch, who ended up recoupling with Jess. You guys know that entire situation. Jess was also nominated. She was in quite a few of these nominations as well. About when she was speaking about wanting to get to know Josh, even though that she was closed off with Sammy. Molly was, they showed the scene with Molly being pissed off about the challenge, talking to Whitney and Katie, wondering if she looks dumb and if Katie's been receiving eyes from Zach. And Zach was just like, we've gone over this. So I won't lie, the producers as well had a lot of smoke for Zach and Molly in today's episode. They were really rolling the clips, but of course we know that Molly ended up winning. Now let's move on to there was actually quite a few nominations. Was there? Oh no, only 2 more. So let's move on. Sorry, just hit the blinds. Let's move on to the best head-to-head. So starting off with Whitney, she was nominated of when she, you know, pied Zach in the Snog, Marry and Pie challenge and questioned whether or not Molly is his easy way out. Zach did, of course, also say that he doesn't really, he's till this day, he still doesn't understand that comment, but it's fine. He doesn't want to make a big deal out of it. And of course, they ended up spudding. Ella, they showed the scene with Ella 1 talking to Ella 2, saying that, babe, I'm never gonna go head to head with a girl over a man. There's no competition, there's no this, there's no that. They ended up showing Mitchell with Abby talking to Ella B and Mitch about Mitch after making a mess, asking not to be involved. That scene was just very interesting. Abby started jumping in, and the truth of the matter is Mitchell was the one that was nominated, so you jumping in like, yeah, I said that because we don't care. I'm so sorry. In the nicest, most politest, most calmest way, Abby really don't care. And what was funny though was even Mitch was like, Mitch was like, my name's there, Abby. Like, that's my name there, not yours. So why don't you sit down? All right? Why don't you sit down? And I definitely hear it, because it wasn't Abby that was nominated. So stop giving your 2 pence to the clip that we all just saw. It's not making any sense. Of course, you know that the winner ended up being Ella, and then Ella 1 and Ella 2 also had a mini back and forth over there. So interesting. That's what I mean. Like, I genuinely didn't expect a lot from this challenge, but the producers really produced, because those clips are absolutely phenomenal. And of course, let's move on to the last nomination, which was wait, was this the last nomination? It was to do with snogging. I just don't remember what the nomination was called. But of course, you know, Zach was number 1. They showed a clip with him snogging Katie in the challenge and him smiling. And Zach said that, you know, it was really a nervous giggle. Did it really look that bad? And he just said he smiles when he's nervous. What was so interesting there was Ella B, messy, okay? Prior to the clip being shown, they actually showed the clip when Molly and Zach were speaking about the challenge, and Molly said, no snogging, like you're literally not snogging anyone. So Ella B was like, oh, Zach, what was that conversation that you and Molly had? When full well, you know that you heard, and Zach was like, no, that convo was after. And Molly was like, no, babe, it was actually before. So yeah, Ella B being messy. Thanks for the content. Of course, they showed the clip with Tyrique telling Ella B to pull Mitch for a track, and of course disrupted that Abby and his conversation. Then they showed Mitchell talking to Abby about no one compared to her and seeing a future outside. What was so interesting was Abby was smirking, which just reinforces what I said before. I do feel like she is definitely just a bit bitter at the fact that she can't get Mitch anymore, and it's almost ending, and maybe Mitch actually does still like me, because I definitely feel like she still likes him. The way she acts, like it's like I don't know, her blood boils a bit more when she finds out that, you know, her name is in Mitch's mouth. It's a bit interesting and quite weird. But of course, Abby was smirking and Ella was in shock. The producers 100% chose violence with that clip, because Mitch was just like, yeah, like, I see a future of you, I don't see a future of her, I don't even like her. When I'm in bed with her, I just think about you. So yeah, the producers really went in with that. Abby also was saying, you know, her little side comment saying, oh, now you can see what was said in the clips. Didn't he say false, Mitch? And Mitch was just like, you know what, I've grown, right, I've moved on from this, and whatever. Of course, Ella said that Abby actually told her these things before, so it's actually all good. And I think that's what definitely bothers Abby a bit more, that Ella B doesn't even, like, she's not even glitching to all of these things anymore. She's just like, okay, well, that's old news, this is new news, let's focus on what we want to focus on. But of course, you guys know the winner ended up being Mitch, and then Mitch ended up giving a speech. Now, this bit, guys, I won't lie, initially I was genuinely a bit confused when this entire speech took place, because I thought at first, and you guys now tweeted it too, which why you need to follow me on Twitter, but I thought at first that Scott was actually the one that was being rude to Mitch, which was why I was like, why is Scott being so rude to Mitch, calling him an effing knobhead for no reason, until I actually saw that no, Mitch was actually the one who threw the first stone. Scott, one thing about Scott is when Scott speaks in this villa, it comes with substance. He doesn't stutter with his shade. He doesn't stutter with his sass. He doesn't stutter with his rudeness. But you guys know Scott did call Mitchell a effing knobhead. I won't lie, the effing bit, maybe because I'm just not a swearer, it was a bit, but Mitch's speech, he was just going on and on and on. And the thing about Mitch will go on and on, say all these things, throw them all out in the air, pluck, 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 pluck. And then at the end, he'll be like, but it's all love because I've grown. After saying so much nonsense, like, it's actually just insane. So Scott definitely had Mitch's time. I feel like Scott is also over all of them in the villa, if I'm going to be very honest with you. But of course, there was also another back and forth with Mitch as well. Mitch was like, shut up, you idiot, don't call me names, bro. And then Mitch also said as well, like, you know, you said you're forcing it over Abby. So this bit here, I said, okay, no, now Mitch is actually just plucking everything out of thin air to try and make it seem like, Scott, you are literally, you're someone who shouldn't even be talking right now because you said certain things that haven't been exposed. So of course at this time as well, Abby was kind of looking like, oh, you know, Abby is very animated. And Scott's just like, shut up, man. And Mitch is like, no, you shut up, man. Just shut up, bro. Don't say names about calling me names. You call me, I know it. That's all I heard. Okay? That is literally all I heard. But of course, you guys know Scott ended up confessing, which was actually quite funny. He was just like, yeah, well, I did say that. And I was just like, oh, no. I know there's going to be an aftermath in the first 15 minutes of tomorrow's episode, so I'm very intrigued to see that. I don't know, guys, whose side are you on? Team Scott, Team Mitch, Team none, Team both? It's given the season needs to wrap up. That's exactly what it's given. But as you guys know, we were given the opportunity to vote for our favourite compatible couple, or the most compatible, shall I say. And I voted for, drumroll please, Whitney and Lochan, because they do no wrong in my eyes. I'm so sorry. I absolutely love Whitney, and I love the fact that Lochan today actually stood up for himself and he spoke up to Tyrique, because I actually feel like Tyrique genuinely feels like he's the big daddy of the villa, and someone sometimes needs to tell your singlet to remind you we are all on the same level here, so let's all be very guided. But that is the end of today's review, guys. I'd love to know what you guys also thought of tonight's episode down below in the comments, so definitely be sure to comment down below. Overall, I do think it was quite a good episode. I do feel like the challenge at the end definitely put a little spanner in the works, and also gave us a little, you know, a bit more juice and a bit more content. So I definitely feel like, yeah, definitely redeemed themselves from, you know, that very boring family episode that we had to endure for 1 whole hour. Anyway, guys, well, let's know what you guys actually thought of the episode down below. As always, if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and definitely join the family. But other than that, please take care, stay blessed, I love you loads, God bless, and I shall see you tomorrow. Bye.